Pregame.com.
Big NFC East battle. Redskins at Giants. Lined open Giants minus 7.5. Total 45.5. Right now we're looking at 6.5 on the Giants. Home favorites. Totals up to 46.5. This one's my pick. I'm going to go with the total because the side absolutely scares me, and I'm going to explain why. But I really like the under in this game. I know it looks like the line's going against me, but to me that's a blessing. I'm hoping this gets to 47 or higher when the public gets involved, because after seeing Washington put up points last week, we all saw what the Giants did on Sunday night primetime putting up points. I think once they get involved, start betting the over, I have a good chance of getting 47 or even better by kickoff, and I really like the under. Bottom line, this is playoff atmosphere football. I get it. Washington may not have nothing to play for, but they actually do in this game, and that's the role of spoiler against an NFC East rival. And we know the pressure on the Giants. They now control the top spot in the East, but they control their own destiny from here on out. That's a lot of pressure for a team that's been inconsistent. This looks to me like we're going to get both teams coming in pretty tight, and playoff atmosphere in NFC East with a total of 47. If it gets there, I got to go under.
How did they work out in the Giants' last game against Dallas?
That's a different story. That was Dallas indoors, prime time. Different story, I think. And I'm going to tell you why I'm staying away from the game. Everything I've learned about monitoring line moves, picking up information, picking off what guys are doing that I respect, tells me to bet the Redskins. But my line tells me the Giants are the side. My true line that I turn in the Vegas rankings, I made Giants 7.75 favorites. The look ahead at the Hilton was Giants minus 8.5. Here they are coming off looking beautiful on Sunday night because the public cashed. Maybe they didn't look great having to come from behind to win the game, but at the end of the day, that was one of the most heavily bet sides for the sports books, and the bettors cashed. They got killed on the Giants. So people are happy with the Giants, and now instead of that line going up against Washington, it's going down. And I get Washington played good against New England. That was at home against wide receiver secondary, and, you know, so they got within a touchdown at home. You know what I mean? Looking at those line move from 7.5 through that key number down to 6.5, when my true line shows it should be higher, when the look ahead shows it should be higher, everything I've learned about line movements tells me the Washington's the right side. And yet I can't fade the Giants in this spot. Why?
I kind of like Washington here.
Okay.
I would have liked a better number also.
Maybe you'll push me into it.
Well, I don't want to do that if you're set in your opinion on the game. But you've got a Washington team, and to be totally honest with you, I'm kind of leaning with the over
With
also.
the over. It makes sense. That's where the sharp money's going early.
Neither one will probably be on my card this week, but that's the way I'm leaning. It all depends on what kind of numbers we can get. But you got a Redskin offense that scored 27, 19, 23, and 24 the last 4 weeks, and the Giants really haven't stopped anybody. Last 3 weeks, the Giants have given up 34, 38, and 49 points. In the first week of the season, I believe they scored the Redskins put up 28 on the Giants. Now, granted, the Giants still had their defensive injuries back then. It's been a continuous thing for them. But you know, with the Redskins out of playoff contention right now, and it really just coming down to the Giants the Giants in Dallas, I don't think it's the playoff type of atmosphere, at least from the Redskins side. Now, it's important for the Giants because, you know, they'll know by the time this game goes off, they'll know the situation with Dallas playing the day earlier. But I think Washington's shown enough right now. You know, the Giants are another one of these high-scoring teams like Dallas. It seems to the public seems to get on these teams and they like it, and they ignore the defense.
Yeah.
We see it with New England. We've seen it with a lot of teams this year, and they seem to be a little bit inflated. So in a divisional race like this, you know,
don't you think though Washington does have something? Like I always say, at the end of the year, that's what you got to look at: motivation. You know, does a team have a reason to show up if they're not in contention for anything? And I look for spots where it's either a primetime game and you know you're going to get an effort, even from a team that has nothing to play for, or a chance to play spoiler in a revenge opportunity or against a divisional rival. Something where, it matters for you to play spoiler. Now, if it's an out-of-conference game and you're going to ruin the Dolphins' chances of making the playoffs,
right,
I don't think Washington cares. Right. But if you have a chance to ruin the Giants' season, yeah, I think it adds a little bit to the motivation side.
It does. It's not full playoff type of motivation.
Sure.
But it's a situation where it obviously means a lot to them to beat their divisional rivals. Every team in that division hates each other.
Right.
So I just get so many questions about this Giants defense after they look so bad
two
or three
terrible
games ago, and then they come back. You figure, okay, this is the week they look bad again. And if you take a look at the Giants' schedule, they played Dallas, Green Bay, New Orleans, Philadelphia, San Francisco, New England, and they got the Jets and Dallas on deck. That's a murderer's roll of games here. So now you're asking them to win and win by a margin.
You know why I really like the under? I'll tell you. I'll give you the biggest reason. Because the stats point over. But when they played that first game, it was an emotional game. It was on 9/11 in Washington.
Right.
And they scored only 42 points. But more importantly, they had scored 28 at the half. It was 14-14 at halftime. I think the second half is the type of game we're going to see here. I think the first half was emotion. Both teams going out there fired up. New York had, their reasons to show up on 9/11, and Washington had their reasons to show up on 9/11. But after that emotion got out of the way and they settled down, it became that NFC East type battle. And I kind of looked at that. I saw the first half stats, the second half stats. They were just so different. And I said, if this is the kind of game where, you don't have that kind of adrenaline, you have that pressure playoff atmosphere for the Giants and the spoiler role, but you don't have that adrenaline. There's different emotion when it comes to 9/11 than it does for playoffs, So that's the main reason that pointed me towards the under. So that's going to be my pick. Brian disagrees, not enough to bet a pizza. Good for me. He likes the dog a little bit here. Like I said, everything I've learned about line movements tends to support that the dog has the value, but my line says Giants are the side, so I'm going to have to pass there. We're going to be back. Got a couple best bets lined up and 2 more NFL videos.